and I am playing Spider-Man Miles Morales right now for this little talk. Now, I would like to state at the first part of this is that this game does not exist. This is not something that's in the making. I do not have any official, like, anything about like a game like this. This is just like a idea of mine, and basically a game I want to see made. I probably should have made the title of the video a bit more clearer, but live and learn, I guess. But yeah, if you clicked on the video, then that means you are now.
Raft escapees blocked off a street and took hostages. No bueno.
Looks like we're taking down some bad guys. Sorry about that. I'm going to ignore them talking for now on. You clicked on.
I'm catching up on. Yikes.
Clicked on this video, you wish to actually see a game made in the Marvel Universe, like a role-playing game. And mind you, when I say role-playing game, I'm not just talking about like a regular RPG where you make a character, that sort of shit. I'm talking about like actual backstories, playing out part of the backstory for the character, making a hero, making a villain, or hell, just making an everyday Joe. So, the concept of this game idea I had, it's basically based in the Marvel Universe. There's the Avengers, there's Spider-Man, there's all those famous characters. Whereas me, I'm more of the Spider-Man person, and I guess Daredevil and Punisher, but I only seen the Daredevil and Punisher TV show. I think I read one of the Hulk comic books.
Hey Miles, I'm catching up on yikes. Backlog after being away for a few weeks.
No rest for the Spider-Man?
Nope. Speaking of which, I'm not gonna be swinging behind you, constantly looking over your shoulder now that I'm back. I trust you. And I have some stuff I should take care of.
Like what? Can I help?
I need to find a job. Freelancing with the Bugle was great, but I'd like something steady.
Have you thought about teaching? You're pretty good at it.
Honestly, no. No. Maybe. I'll think about it. Call you soon.
So it'll be a teacher each. Anyway, so this idea of this game is there's basically it's based in the universe, but here's the twist. This little idea, I don't have like the story fully planned out. It's basically a game in where like half the X-Men, half the Avengers, and a lot of the heroes go missing, like due to like a crisis event in space, I guess. I haven't thought of most of the story, but Spider-Man and some of the X-Men, plus some of the other people, like from Fantastic Four, is basically still on Earth. Now, my little idea for this game is, like, it's based in the Marvel Universe. You can be like a villain, you can be like a hero, or hell, you can be something in between. So, my idea is, like, for this game, like, let's say you wanted to be like a criminal. Well, not just like a regular old villain, like a criminal, like somebody who's has crime ties. Is basically when you start the game, you have like a choice. Is you can pick like a criminal aspect background, or you can pick randomize, or you can pick one that I call. Oh man, my nose is stuffed up. So, basically, let's say you start the game, you make your character, you're trying to, like, come up with your backstory. Let's say you're not from New York or that. Let's say you're not from New York. Let's say you pick, like, different things. Like, let's say you picked a gangbanger, like somebody who works for Kingpin or even some other crime boss. So let's say you picked like that, and you picked you're not from New York, you picked like you're from a different place, but you have a friend in New York who's in that gang who managed to get you, like, in the gang. Basically, there's, like, 3 different, like, intros that will show you entering New York. 1 on a boat, 2 on a train, or tree, on a bus that drops you off in New York. To which you then meet your friend, which he or she, depending on the choices you picked, will be waiting for you. However, this is where things get a little bit interesting. There should be an option that also makes it so it's like either a really close friend from childhood, or maybe it's an ex-girlfriend, or hell, even ex-boyfriend. And they still like have feelings for you or that. That would impact the game a little bit more as well. At least that's what I think. But let's say you end up in...
Very suspicious.
Let's say you end up in that, like, city. Like, you get off the... Let's just say sometimes say you got off a train. You get off the train, you basically go for the tutorial. Oh, now the tutorial is just you learn how to basically eat, sleep, craft some items, that sort of thing, because the title of this video is RPG. RPGs usually have crafting mechanics, but it's a role-playing game first, the way I see it. Now, I can see, like, different, like, outcomes happening. And if you picked, like, an option to make it so you don't have superpowers when you enter New York, but you get them later on, basically your tutorial will end up with a mission that you can do. Like, you don't have to do it right away. Like, let's say you're part of this gang and... Wish I could shut these damn things off.
Bonus, I passed my citizenship test with flying colors. Still love you, China. Gonna miss your candy. Okay.
Aye, aye, aye.
In an attempt to save face, Roxxon's board released all of Krieger's personal documents. Memos, emails, really fun stuff. While I'm combing through those docs, and I'll be playing unreleased, pre-recorded casts. Fresh materials coming in a few weeks, and in the meantime, remember to sing to your friends while you are with them. Seriously. Okay, bye. See you soon.
Alright, where was I? Alright. Now, let's say that there's a mission that you have to do. Like, let's say you want, like, you made it so your character does have superpowers, but it's not when they enter the city. And if you are part of a gang, it basically happens during a mission. Now, the mission could be, like, random. Like, it could happen right away, or it could happen, like, let's say, like 2 days after you arrive in game, like in New York, or like, let's say your character ends up getting like spider powers, kind of like Spider-Man. I could imagine a lot of people actually picking like a villain and getting Spider-Man's powers. That would actually be pretty cool. But this little idea is that this game will either be in first person or third person. I believe it should be in third person if you like, let's say there's different powers and like there's weakness to powers you have to pick as well. Like, let's say you picked electricity, like Electro. Oh, and you end up actually like falling in water. You basically short circuit it. I think I said that right. However, if you picked like a power kind of like shit, what was that one guy called? Fuck, I don't remember that one villain. It was from an X-Men comic book. Like, basically there's different types of powers in the game. There's different types of abilities. Let's say you basically pick somebody who's like smart, like your background and your like stats would actually affect like stuff you can craft. Let's say you craft gauntlets like Shocker. Basically you would need like a certain type of expertise to actually craft items.
Weapon steal.
How do I shut this damn shit off? Anyways, guys, there's like other stories like you could pick for your backstory. Like, let's say you are a police officer. You like don't have any superpowers. You basically can be a detective. You're basically finding out stuff. And this story would be taking place like, I guess like in an alternate universe, not to like the Spider-Man video game, like, Peter Parker would still be in, like, school, I figure, I guess. Or at least in college. Now, let's say you are this detective and you, like, already know, like, all the identities of, like, the... Let's say you're, like, a comic book nerd and... Not nerd. I'm a comic book nerd, but I'm not, like... That was a bad joke. Let's say you're a comic book expert. But... Hold on, I need a drink. Fuck. That's better. Alright, let's say you basically... You're a detective, you wanted to, like, uncover the identity of Spider-Man. And you already know where to look. Well, you kinda don't, I guess. As this would still be, like, in New York, like, stuff, like, style game, like, Marvel... I'm stuttering with my goddamn words, fuck. Sorry about that. Let's say you're a detective, you wanted to discover, like, Spider-Man's identity. Let's say you could do that, but here's the thing. The identity thing probably wouldn't work out. Because it would actually probably break the game. But alright, let's just skip the police thing. I haven't thought that police thing through so far. Shut up, you damn alert thing. I don't care right now.
Listeners, you all know that I pride myself on truth, integrity, and...
Oh, that got him to shut up. Alright, so... Let's move on to, like, a superhero, or at least vigilante. Let's say you're basically... like this average Joe, and you basically select the superpowers or even mutation you have. Let's say, like, you can pick your age, like, make it so you can be either 18 and all the way up to, I guess, 30 in this game. Now, let's say you're this 18-year-old. You move to New York, you're basically a runaway. Let's say you, like, entered on a train or even a boat. Actually, that should be an option. And, like, you basically smuggled yourself onto a boat. Now, let's say you smuggled yourself onto a boat. You're basically in New York. Now, let's say you could either go down, like, 3 different paths for that, or 8, I guess. Like, here's your one, like, option for right now, anyways. Is you basically find yourself, like, on the docks. You have to try to sneak your way out of there, to which you get a tutorial, like, showing you how to sneak, and as you are trying to leave, you get caught, to which you have, like, an option. Fight the guard who finds you, or try to run and jump into the water. Now, if you pick the fight option, it'll show you basically the mechanics on how to fight. Now, let's say you picked, like, a stat for, like, combat, like, basically you upgrade your melee damage. That will have an effect to your backstory. If you have a high amount of, like, melee combat...
The been taken over by the under... There was more to it.
Let's say you upgrade your melee combat to... Let's say it can go up to 10. And for now, let's say you made it so your melee combat is 10. Basically, your character is strong, but let's say you had to add, like, a perk. Let's say you selected a perk that made it so your character was, like, thin and skinny, basically, but you're still, like, jacked. Basically, the guard would run up and basically fight you. Now, if you had 0 combat skill, you would barely do any damage to the guard, and you would get caught and basically handed over to the police. To which then you could try to escape, or wait till somebody else tries to escape. And try to use the chaos to actually get out as well. But, let's just stick to this other one. Let's say you managed to fight off the security guard. Or you use, like, your normal, like, skills in that. And let's say you had...
Someone's trying to steal from a beast truck.
Let's say your character has, like... Actually, let's say you start off with 5 perks. Or so let's say one of them is melee combat, and basically let's call it brawler. Another one is called acrobat, meaning that you are agile and able to do flips. And let's say the other one is sneak thief. You're able to pickpocket people and sneak. Basically that one's just combined. And let's say the other one is alert. Alert basically gives you like a sense, kind of like when these blue lines go around, when you're detecting enemies or potential targets. Combine that with sneak thief, it'll show you basically certain citizens or that who are green, meaning that they have a lot of money, because you're able to like tell from the size of their pockets.
Miles, I did it! I figured it out!
How to safely split an atom from the comfort of your own home?
That's next on my to-do list. No, speed Nonagon. Collision model is updated, projectile physics is fixed, frame rate stabilized. It's awesome now.
Which means I can play it?
It still needs textures. Sound effects, music, VO.
I'll write the music. I could probably do sound effects too.
First we improve and design our own spider suit. Now we build a mobile game empire? We're unstoppable.
Never doubted it. I'm out doing spider things, but when I get home, I'll set up a task board, start tracking sound effects you'll need. Ooh, and sketching out a score.
Well, that's good for them.
Can you feel that? That's me fist bumping you from afar. Later, dude.
So, let's say you have like those perks, and let's say you manage to fight the guard off. That would give you a wanted level, especially if the guard sees your face. Now, let's say you want to customize clothing, like you find like a hoodie like Miles here, but you don't like the color. Let's say you could like paint it, like if you got spray paint, you could just spray paint like the jacket. However, it would have like a certain look to it. Now, let's just keep like this other part of the story like short. Let's say you finally found your way to like a store, you get in the store, you start stealing like food and that, and it starts getting late. You then get a tutorial to...
Alright, yes sir. Love it when you do your thing.
You basically get a tutorial to basically set up like a little camp, I guess you could call it. Like, let's say you're sleeping in an alleyway or you're sleeping into a broken car. Or, let's say you break a car window, you open up a car, or it's in an alleyway, it looks like the car is abandoned. Now, let's say you basically have to find like stuff to keep warm, such as like newspapers, there's blankets, and other stuff you could like burn or even wrap up in. This is starting to sound like a survival thing now. Basically, I'm trying to like state that there's like different like options, different ways to enter in this type of game. And I have thought of more of a DC role-playing video game, but I wanted to go with the Marvel one first. Now, I want to move on to like superpowers. Let's say like your character ended up getting bit by like a spider. Basically, you would have the option to be a superhero, vigilante, or even a thief, or hell, a villain. Could you imagine like fighting Spider-Man with spider powers? That would actually be interesting. I can actually imagine a lot of people who would want to do that. Or let's say, how about this? Like, in certain comic books, I believe there's the lizard formula. Let's say you end up breaking into Dr. Connor's lab. Like you got hired to steal something. Yeesh, those dogs are going nuts. Let's just say you got hired by somebody to actually steal something. Let's say you who are still this 18-year-old kid I mentioned, and you have like a reputation for breaking into places and stealing stuff. Let's say Kingpin hired you, or even Norman Osborn, to get a hold of Dr. Connor's like lizard formula. Now, let's say you end up running into Spider-Man during this little event. Or job, as I just call it for now. well, let's say he ends up chasing you, you end up tripping and you drop half the formula. Let's say one of the needles ends up accidentally getting jammed in your arm. You don't realize it, you get up, you start running, you head for the nearest sewer or lid, and you end up climbing into it. Now, you might be wondering, Ben, why would you want to go in the sewer? Or why wouldn't you just keep running or steal a car? Well, think about it. How many times has Spider-Man stopped people from getting away in cars? I mean, it wouldn't be impossible, but still.
I read MJ's front page about Simparia.
Not while you were swinging. Sorry. Scolding mentor mode, downshifting. What did you think of the article?
The article was great. The pictures? Where'd they get this Peter Parker guy?
I'm sure MJ asks herself that all the time.
So how was the trip? Did you have to suit up while you were out there?
Nah. Sable handled it like a champ. Her and her wild pack. I mostly got to stand around taking pictures.
Sounds like a nice break. As much as a work trip can be.
Oh yeah. Feeling refreshed and ready to do some next level Spider-Man. And clean out the gutters at my house. Being a homeowner is glamorous, let me tell you.
Sounds like it. I'll let you go. Talk soon.
Alright, now that's out of the way. So let's say you get infected with the lizard formula. Let's say it's only like half of the formula. Basically your skin starts getting scales and you start getting claws, but your body still mutates into like a partial miniature form of the lizard. Like let's say it's not the complete formula in you right now. Now that would actually give you basically the lizard strength, a little bit of a healing ability.
Weapons deal going down nearby. Thank you, anonymous app user.
And let's say you basically now have to hide yourself practically. Because one thing in certain Marvel comic books is mutants aren't like looked upon friendly unless they're like heroes or that. Or we could go with a different thing to this little thing. Like, let's rewind. Basically, let's imagine this person got hired to go in that lab. There's 3 items he had to steal. One was a sample of the lizard's DNA, and the lizard formula. Another was a case with a spider in it, and another was some type of tech gauntlet that looked almost like a claw let's say there was like some armor in there. Now, let's say the spider ended up getting out of the container that you were carrying. And let's say you had a backpack. I'm just gonna say it, you can't carry stuff like in your pockets everywhere. You have to have like items to carry stuff. You have to be able to conceal stuff, that sort of thing. So I imagine the item like carrying system would be limited.
Someone's trying to steal from a beast truck.
However, I do think that if like the character and you're playing as like a thief or a villain or a criminal or anything like that, and you get bit by this spider, let's say you end up getting genetic webs and you have wall crawling abilities. Basically you would be like Spider-Man. However, you would not be able to use the powers like he does or like Miles. Let's say these powers are more unique. Let's say they're a bit more customizable. Like, let's say the powers give you like an ability to slow down stuff around you. Kind of like the spider sense, but more enhanced. Now, let's say this power to this little what-if game idea I had, and is basically... I should have thought most of this shit out and written it down. And I jumped onto this because I wanted to get this out of my head for a while. But anyways, let's say your character gets spider powers. Now this game, I do think it should be in third person, so it would be easy to make it so characters could web swing. However, I also think there should be an option to be able to get a hold of the goblin serum and basically make it so you become a goblin. and if you're wondering why I suggest that, well, read my channel's name. And watch some of my other videos, trust me, you'll figure it out. Oh, me personally, I'm just a little swap to me if I was playing this game and it was actually real. If I could get a hold of the Goblin Serum, I would get a hold of it, and I would basically wear kind of what Miles is wearing right now, except it wouldn't be red. And I would be wearing a mask that hide my face.
Hey,
however,
a donation stand robbery going down near you.
I would probably wear an exoskeleton suit, like parts of a suit anyways. Like, let's say something that allows me to jump higher and basically grab stuff and throw stuff.
I know you're gonna hear a lot about me, so it shouldn't be more than 2 years. But getting out early is not why I gave up pre-med. You told me you had to do better. And that meant looking out for other people, even if it cost you something. I don't have a lot of practice, but I'm trying. Thanks, kid, for making me a better man that I could be on my own. Take care out there.
Love you, Gronk.
Damn. So, anyways, let's say like you made a character, you made it so like they end up getting powers or no powers. Or basically there's a lot of stuff that like other characters who don't have powers, who aren't criminals or vigilantes can do. Like, let's say you're a construction worker or a DJ. Oh, I just realized I could, if this game ever did become real, I could name myself DJ Scully. And make it so like I wear like a cybernetic mask, kind of like a default from Watch Dogs. Nah. Although I could make it so I owned a game. Nah. Or nah, that's a maybe. But yeah, guys, most of this stuff is just like my own ideas. Because I imagine there would be like superpowers like electricity, fire, that sort of shit. There was a pen and paper game, I think, called Marvel's Superheroes Role-Playing something. And I remember playing a game kind of like that, but it was based more on Mass Effect. In fact, I played a Mass Effect role-playing game, and I ended up went with like 2 characters. The second time I played it, I played as like a Quarian pirate. First time as a Quarian rockstar. If you don't know what a Quarian is, look it up, type in Mass Effect and then Quarians. And so you'll get like history in that, but let's get back to the topic right now. I don't know what the main like story would be, but I know there would be probably a lot of missions in that. I think like if they ever did make a game like this, they should take like points from like tips from Cyberpunk and some other games. But I think they should also keep like the graphics from the Spider-Man Miles Morales game and the Spider-Man remake, or well, not remake, remastered game. At least this is just my opinion. But unless it's like a, well, I think the game should have like the choice to be in first person or third person. Like, let's say you start web slinging, like you swap to like web swinging, your character would automatically go in third person. Or hell, if you got on a goblin glider, or it'd be in third person. Or hell, climb in a building, and it will be in third person. But yeah, guys, if you guys like this concept I'm talking about, please like leave a comment saying what you think should be added in this type of game, what you would do if you were in this type of game, or what your character would look like, or the backstory. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I did think of the DC idea a bit more for a role-playing game, except it's not like a DC thing. But yeah, if you guys liked the video, leave a like. Go check out my Let's Plays, and that's pretty much it. And I plan on doing a Let's Play of Cyberpunk 2077 when that game comes out. And, well, to my fellow goblins out there, may your pockets always be full of gold. If you guys did like the concept of this, leave a like, say what you think should be added into this little like video, like what if thing that's happened just now. I probably should have practiced what I was going to say. I've been practicing for the DC one, but this one popped in my head. Sometimes when a new one pops in my head, I want to get it off my head. This popped in my head actually a month ago. The DC one was in my head for about 4 months. And so that video is coming soon, but anyways, guys, I'm Scully the Goblin. I'll see you all in the next one. Hopefully not a lot of people got pissed with my little idea. But otherwise, stay safe out there, and remember, be yourself.
I'm joined by newly elected Councilwoman Rio Morales of Harlem.
Just don't fail like I did there. But yeah, I'll see you all my fellow goblins and goblets in the next one. Peace out.
With their highly